Yup, you read the title right. I finally managed to get my hands on a copy of Minecraft Story Mode, even though it has been removed from stores since all the way back in 2018. And I also got scammed last week in receiving a false copy, as we all know in this video. But after spending 80 fat ones for the complete edition, it actually came and I got every single trophy in the game. Although only the first 5 episodes are needed for the platinum, I decided to do all 8 just so I could not feel so bad about having to pay so much for this godforsaken illegal game. Minecraft Story Mode has a total of 51 trophies with the platinum, and 2 missable trophies as a matter of fact, which is kind of unique for a Telltale game to have. It also does take another partial playthrough after, but we will get to that eventually. This is also a part of my challenge to platinum pretty much every single notable single player game that I haven't already before I hit 100,000 subscribers, because I have no life, so make sure to drop a like and subscribe. So before beginning the first episode, I actually just sat there and enjoyed the menu music because it's about as nostalgic as it gets and I love it. Oh my god! Anyways, there was then a little cutscene expose showing off the Order of the Stone members, who are these so-called heroes inside of the Minecraft world that everyone essentially worships like gods. But then the game really begins, and the first chapter of the game opens up basically just exposing us to the core main characters of the story, that being Jesse, who we play as, and Olivia and Axel, who are our friends within the game. Also, you can't forget about Ruben, who is Jesse's pet pig and a very critical character of the story, of course. We also got to go through a training sequence in preparation for EnderCon, which is this big event hosted every year within the Minecraft world where we are, and we also entered ourselves into a building competition within the event. Anyways, during the building contest we entered into, the group decided upon making a giant enderman that shoots fireworks out of it, and one of the opposing teams, called the Ocelots, were super jealous of us, so the jerk on their team, who was like our #1 op the entire game, pretty much just tried to burn it down with lava that also got onto Ruben and sent him running away squealing, literally. I was then posed with the option to go after Ruben alone or with friends, and I chose to go alone in order to save the build so we could get that sweet W. And I also got my first trophy of the game right here. The next chapter then just kind of continued on right after, and we were searching for Ruben in the woods, only to find him eventually all fine and not cooked pork chop. However, then a bunch of zombies just pulled up and tried to kill us, and it definitely didn't help that our sword snapped in the middle of fighting them here. But right when the end was nearing, another side character friend shows up to save us named Petra. We then followed her into the mines of which she lives in, I think, and she also let us in on a little secret she had. Petra here is doing an illegal trade at EnderCon with a wither skull for a diamond with some shady individual. And we're just looking for our pet pig. Ah, social classes, how beautiful. But then I also got forced to make a sword so I have something to defend myself with, and instead I made a lever because it was a trophy. We then just headed to EnderCon, but on this bridge a bunch of monsters showed up again, and I'm starting to think they're paid actors. But a trophy popped after we fell into the water in such glorious fashion, might I add. Chapter 3 then had us basically just do that deal with the shady man that Petra was intending to have happen. Sadly, the shady man, whose name is Ivor, scammed us. Not sure what we really expected from a dark alley deal, but it is what it is, I guess. Petra didn't like that mindset, however, so then the rest of the chapter contained us trying to find the evil dude and get back the wither skull that he basically stole. We ended up watching him go to Gabriel's meet and greet building. Gabriel is the famous hero from the Order of the Stone, by the way, but we didn't have tickets to get into the meet and greet, so we had to find a way to distract the guard and get past. I decided to use chickens to do this by getting a slime block and doing some pretty nuts parkour into the chicken coop because the guard was deathly afraid of chickens, and they said cock couldn't kill. I also received another trophy once entering the building and getting past the guard right here. We then went looking for Ivor, who was the dude we were after, and we found his secret library lab underground, which had some pretty damning things in it, like this wither skeleton spawn with a command block thrown at its heart basically. He then walked on in and was about to find us hiding, so I jumped out to surprise him first. Ivor knew he couldn't take us all, however, so he just spawned in an iron golem that basically kicked us out for good. A bit later, Ivor then showed up in the middle of one of Gabriel's speeches and then spawned the wither in. The rest of the chapter then had the wither storm essentially just destroy everything and anything as we ran to Gabriel's temple to hide and get to the nether portal to escape the wither storm. Long story short, everyone made it to the nether aside from Gabriel and Petra. It is also now our goal to find our way out of the nether, and I got a trophy for that chapter's ending. Getting out of the nether, however, was not a challenge because you can quite literally just ride the minecarts the Order of the Stone put here to the next nether portal, which is an exit to the real world. Very simple. However, once in the real real world again, we ended up making a treehouse for some shelter for the night, even though it has no roof and we got rained on. I guess they like get wet, you know what I'm saying? Next up, when it was daytime, we quite literally looked down the hill and there was the Order of Stone's temple just rotting away right by us. So naturally, we entered it and it was not surprisingly packed full of traps to stop us from continuing on with life. But we did continue on and ultimately made it to the roof of the place, which is where things get really spicy. Because up here was a giant map, which once figuring out the amulet's puzzle, it shines lights wherever the Order members are at. And the only two available on the map right now were Magnus the TNT expert and Ellegaard the redstone expert. Naturally, I had to pick one of them to get for help, and I chose to do Ellegaard since I thought someone with brains would be of assistance in a dire situation that we are in. Anyways, we then had to go back through the nether to get to Ellegaard, and it was actually a super short trip with very minor combat situations halting us. So here's another trophy once we made it to Ellegaard City. And upon arrival, she stated that she is going into a locked room to think essentially forever. So we literally just missed our last chance to talk to her, which is why then I had to go pester a ton of civilians trying to make unique redstone contraptions in an effort to get picked to speak with Ellegaard. And I had to steal one of their redstone repeaters so I could fix the staircase circuit and get up to Ellegaard. I did just that, by the way, with some great timed lying and overall genius. And then we made it into Ellegaard's lab essentially, and upon meeting her I had to cosplay as an assistant for a little bit, but not too long because nobody pulled out a camcorder, so we are safe. Sadly though, Ellegaard was on the fence for a while about our predicament with the wither storm killing everyone, and she didn't quite believe us. But when it showed up, I think she got a bit more convinced and we ran out of town and back to the portal with her. That portal then took us back to the main base and none other than Petra was here. Also, Axel got Magnus on his own, which is impressive considering he's a retard. But then that big map ended up showing us both Ivor the evil dude and Soren the architect on the map. Soren is also key to the story, by the way, because he's another genius, so it's now our job to find him before Ivor does. And once we made it to his place in the mountaintops nearby, I got another trophy. We then quite literally just walked on in and it was pretty cool, I can't lie. But then Magnus and Ellegaard had a falling out kind of immediately and we were left on our own with another trophy. Oh yeah, we also ran into Ivor here as you would expect, and there was a long battle with him until he ultimately just threw down a slow potion and we were left watching as he walked away victorious. But we got a trophy, so take that, Ivor. Next, once the slow potion wore off, I eventually found out that you can use the amulet to track the Order members' positions even in person when it glows more. So the gang followed the amulet's glow right down into a mob spawner, and there was basically chaos for multiple minutes until we all fell down into it and got sucked away to the collecting room with another trophy pop. And the monsters didn't stop there because they were everywhere down here also. And our best solution to this was to jump into the end portal to escape them. How genius. We then just walked through the end after Soren because he was also down here and left a very obvious staircase to the next building. And once we climbed to the top of it, I got another trophy. Inside this new building, there was basically a room modeled after the normal world and very creepy to just have. But there was also a puzzle to open this wall and continue on that I did, which involved me just flipping some levers. We then made it to the real lab of Soren's that he has here, and I also did a trophy from talking to Ruben so many times that he got tired of me and told a joke to get rid of me. Very odd trophy, I'm not gonna lie. But the rest of this chapter had me pretending to be an Enderman inside of Soren's study that he has. Sadly, the Enderman didn't believe it as good as I thought they would, and to save me, Soren dropped my ass. Tough love. Tough love. We then did get a chance to chat with him for a while though, and sort of get him on our side and agree to help us save the world. But then the Enderman decided that they didn't like us and started chasing after us trying to kill. But I got a trophy, it's fine. Next chapter then had us trying to escape the Enderman, as you could guess. And once we did and made it back to the real world, it was then just normal enemies. But Soren still had time to craft the super TNT that we needed to try and take down the Wither Storm. And also more Endermen showed up right before the ending of the chapter, but we got away, it's fine. Oh, the next chapter actually just had us fight the Wither Storm after all. The super TNT worked like a charm and blew up, killing the Wither Storm. What a W for the good guys. Sadly, the command block remained unscathed after the dust settled, and the Wither Storm actually wasn't dead. But here's that trophy from the chapter anyway. The following chapter then had us literally just run away to safety the entire time, and I think if anything we just pissed off and made the Wither Storm stronger if we were being honest. The next chapter was then a team building chapter, as I like to call them, but it just had us chat with everyone, and in my opinion was a bit boring. But at the end it had us set off towards Ivor's secret base in the far lands of the world. Very interesting place to choose to live, almost like choosing to live in Chicago. But once we made it to the far lands, I can't lie, it was pretty badass. The next chapter was then pretty long, but essentially just had us actually go to Ivor's place, find his secret lab down here, and also we got Soren to tell us the truth behind the Order of the Stone, since all of the Ender Dragon crystals are still intact down here on display. And we would find out that the Order of the Stone is basically a bunch of phonies who use that Witherstorm command block to just snap the Ender Dragon out of existence. So lame. Oh yeah, Ivor also showed up finally, and to make us feel better about being lied to all game, we got to pick a new piece of armor and weapon for free. I love coping. But then it was basically time to fight the Witherstorm again now that we had insane armor and weapons to do so. And the strategy in killing it this time was just launching me up onto the Witherstorm so I could get close to the command block. And once I was inside, getting to the command block and destroying it wasn't even that hard, to be honest. However, sadly, right before the final strike on it, Ruben was about to get eaten by a wither head, and in my effort to save him, he slipped and fell. But he might be fine, right? So then I did do the final strike on the Witherstorm and save the day. We also found Ruben right next to the battle site, and he looks totally fine, man. He's just got a little scratch on him. Oh shit. Anyways, to wrap up this episode, we then kind of became the new Order of the Stone since we saved the day legitimately instead of whatever the hell they were doing before, and I got this trophy. But the game isn't quite over because there is still 4 more episodes left, which I'm not gonna lie, in my opinion, these did not have to be a thing. I personally love the Witherstorm story arc and think this game was great without these last episodes, but they are a part of the game, so I did have to do them. Essentially, each episode just had a random ass plot to them that all sort of tied into the grand theme at the end, but it didn't really work in my opinion. Anyways, episode 5 was all about these glowing enchanted flint and steels I found at some temple, and then Aiden and the Ocelots from the first episode also showed up here to take them back. They also became like the main villains of episode 5 out of nowhere. It was kind of odd, but basically those flint and steels can be used to open portals to other worlds, and they took us along with Aiden and his evil friends to a new world in the sky. This world in the sky, by the way, has an artifact called the Everclear or something in it. Oh yeah, and by the way, we're also criminals on the run here because we accidentally built to get to the island, which is supposedly illegal. And there was thankfully an underground build club here though that hit us in it like it's the damn Underground Railroad, so we were chilling. Aiden and all of them did show up finally though with the Sky City founder, and Aiden also took this as his perfect time to turn on the founder, and he knocked both of us off the island. Thankfully there was water below, so it's fine, and we climbed back up. I then got to battle Aiden in a 1v1 on a beam overhanging the void, which reminded me so much of Star Wars. It was great. I was also posed with the option to mercy Aiden, but I just kicked him off the edge like a total jerk, and I'd do it again. That then basically ended the episode with Sky City falling, pretty much because of how many monsters were on it. But now the citizens are free to do anything they want on real ground, so it's a win at the end of the day. And with the finish of episode 5, that was also the last episode needed for the platinum because the next 3 are all DLC, which I didn't know when making this video, so I accidentally did them all. Please subscribe. Episode 6 first opened with us going to a mansion in the middle of the woods that asked us to come to it and is totally not evil. There was then a huge plot that began with a bunch of YouTubers being in the game on the next chapter, and also a murder mystery much like the game Clue or the movie Knives Out. Overall, this episode was kind of fun because of the YouTubers in it, but also it's just completely random, and the main reason why I didn't like these extra episodes, they just felt so unneeded. I mean, the game really ended in episode 4, so I see now why some folk don't like Minecraft story mode. It does have a lot of nonsense in it, to be honest. But long story short, after many chapters and trophies, we found out that the red hair girl did it. Always them weird bitches, bro, I swear. However, the next episode, episode 7, had an even more random ass story. We went through yet again another portal and ended up in a world controlled by a computer that is evil and can also take control of any creature by just putting these little devices on your head. And this is also when I found out that I didn't need to play these because I was low-key checking that list to see if I had to, and obviously I found out that I didn't have to play them, but at this point I was too far in it though, so I had to finish. I couldn't hang up the controllers now. Anyways, this episode's story can be summed up like this. The evil computer's weakness is water, so we poured water on its components and smashed its redstone heart to shut it down, saving everyone in the town. Typical hero moment. But I did have one more episode to get through so I could finish off this game for good. Episode 8. Arguably better than the previous 2, and the only one I could actually see needing to exist because it kind of tied into things, but also not really. Essentially, we met an old builder in the previous episode, which is kind of like this sacred building society or something, I don't know. But then we went to the old builder's world to confront them and ask for the Atlas so we could find our portal back home. The Atlas is like a cheat code to find the portal that you need, pretty much. And the old builders are all jerks, so they didn't want to give it up, and then we just went on for like an hour-and-a-half long journey of doing classic Minecraft minigames for the old builders' amusement until ultimately battling them and winning, saving the day and letting everyone who has been enslaved by them to be free. So here's that final episode trophy, and we're still missing one. Yeah, I had to go back and redo the first 2 episodes of the game, which took me 2 hours, and I almost cried. I want to cry now. And I had to do all of that just so I could choose to find Magnus first before Eligard for a trophy from well, that. Anyways, I got it, and the Platinum Trophy. So that was the Minecraft Story Mode Platinum Trophy experience. As a kid, I'm not gonna lie, this game slapped. As an adult with much more things in my mind and more ADHD thoughts, I didn't really see the exact amount of fun in this game as I did years ago. I think it's because Minecraft Story Mode is both super slow and super fast at very different moments, which makes the game feel very dragged out, yet still somehow somewhat good. I think the developers really could have done with scrapping numerous chapters and episodes entirely to make this game more engaging, but that's just me. Overall, I'm still gonna give Minecraft Story Mode a solid 7 out of 10. Great game for the first 4 episodes. We will talk about the final ones. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all with more soon. My balls are sweating right now.